let me tell you, this is really good food. Rastelli's, let's start there. Rastelli's is a Customer Choice Food Award-winning brand here at QVC. And I always like to throw out this factoid because I think it really gives you an idea of how elevated this food brand is. There's one 7-star restaurant in the world. They get their protein from the Rastelli's. So that just lets you know the grade, the cut, the beauty of the protein that they're able to get their hands on. Today, they're our best value of the day here on our second channel. 600 orders have already been placed in the Kitchen with Mary today. Well, what the heck is it, Mayor? It's a 20 count of 6 ounces of pork ribeye steaks. You've never had pork like this before unless you've had these before. Now, these sold out since their last airing in February. We were able to get some in and celebrate them as our best value of the day today. These are tender, they are hand trimmed, they are so full of flavor, and they are fork tender. You're getting all 20 for $99.98. The breakdown, though, is it's $4.99 per ribeye. You can pound these down and make schnitzel. You can pound these down and make all kinds of cutlets and delicious foods. And we need a butcher. Maybe our hometown butcher could join us and talk to us all about it. Ray Rastelli, who is the face that we have turned to. I mean, we've loved Rastelli's, Ray, since 1975. And I know, Ray, I've shared this with you. I said to my husband, hey, when you guys joined QVC a few years back, I said the Rastellis are joining the QVC family. His eyebrows went up and he went, the Rastellis? And I was like, oh, so you know. I mean, this is a big deal for us. It's good to see you back.
It's good to see you, Mary. And I will tell you that after 46 years of being a butcher, I've heard just about everything you can imagine, right? Across the counter from my guests, you know, I've got to learn their names, their birthdays, their anniversaries, when kids are getting married. And I also get to learn about who burned dinner the night before. But the question I really get more than anything is, what do you have new? What can I make my family for dinner? Because most people are kind of crazed with, I just ran out of things that I can actually think of to use. So I brought something today that I just absolutely love. It's a pork ribeye steak. And you know me, I always like to start with our origin because as a butcher, my job's to cut it, but it's also to know where it came from. So this is a pork ribeye. We know about a beef ribeye, right? Beef ribeye is the most tender, most incredibly flavorful piece of meat. On the pork ribeye, it's the same thing. But what we do is we completely trim this pork ribeye all the way down. Then we cut these beautiful steaks. Now, these could be called a boneless pork chop, but they're just too good to be called a pork chop. I want to show you what it looks like. This is what that steak looks like when I cut it. Now, you'll notice there's no fat on the side, not on the top, not on the bottom. But what you'll notice is the beautiful marbling. That marbling is what makes this pork ribeye steak so special. And I call it a steak, Mary, because this is as good as any steak you will ever eat. But it's also the most versatile. So I'm going to show you my newest creation with this. And it's so simple because you can be the butcher at home. Just take that steak that you've got, after it's thawed out, and cut it into just a couple of boneless spare ribs, right? Because remember, this is the pork ribeye. This is where the spare rib comes from, right? Look at how beautiful these are. Now, what I like to do is once I get them cut like that, all I do is take them over and I'm going to drop them in my bowl of barbecue sauce. And I'm going to leave them inside that bowl for, I don't know, a couple of minutes just to get the barbecue sauce just really tossed around in there. And from there, it's really simple. Once I've got them good and covered, I'm going to take them. They're going to go right on my skillet here. And Mary, in a matter of minutes, I am going to have the most incredible boneless pork ribeye spare ribs. And that's what makes this product so incredibly beautiful, that it's versatile. I can do so many things with this. And we're going to come back to this because this will be done in literally a matter of minutes, and you'll get to taste it, Mary, if you were with me here today.
Do you know what this means? I made this up this week. This means I'm screaming on the inside with excitement. That's
I love that.
You know what? You're getting a 20 count of our today's bonus buy. It has been absolutely incredibly screaming popular in the show. But you're getting 20 of them on 5 easy payments of $20. However, there's a few things I need you to know. That breaks down to $4.99 per ribeye. Listen, nobody can shake a stick at that. That's quite an offer today, but the price goes up on Monday. Oh yeah, price goes up on Monday, and those 5 easy payments are gone on Monday, but we've already moved through far more quantity than we had intended in this show. And so I highly doubt that it will even be here Monday. But if it is, just know price goes up on Monday and the easy pay is gone on Monday as well. These are marbled, they're juicy. Auto delivery is a great way to go. A lot of folks are saying yes to auto delivery because it comes every 90 days for a year. You can cancel at any time, you can skip a shipment. But Ray, when it comes to the pork ribeye steaks, can you give us some tips on cooking them? Because we don't want to overcook them, we want to treat them just right.
That's right. So remember, my grandmother used to cook her pork chops till they were like cardboard,
oh, gosh,
165, 175 degrees. So you don't have to do that. These are going to come all individually vacuum packaged and frozen. And all you've got to do is pull this out of your freezer and thaw it out. And if you thaw it out in your refrigerator, that's fine. I always like to thaw it out in my refrigerator and then get it to room temperature. Once it's at room temperature, I'll take it out of the package and I'll start to prepare it. Right now, I cooked it just like a steak. So I want you to see what it looks like as a steak. I just grilled it just like a steak. So just like you would grill a steak, but I want you to see the inside of this because I think it's really important for you to see just how incredibly moist it is, how incredibly flavorful it is. And this is cooked at 145 degrees. So you see that little bit of pink in there?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay now for pork, as long as you've got this premium pork. But Mary, here's what I really want to show and make our guests understand. So as I slice this into a nice big thick piece with a knife, I realized I don't really need a knife. I can just use a fork. Watch this. Right through it with a fork. Now, when you can do that with a fork on a piece of pork like this, it's pretty incredible. You know you've got a tender piece of meat. Now, one of the things that makes it tender, this is pork that comes from the Pennsylvania Dutch Amish country. And these are farmers that I have been working with, Mary, for over 40 years. And that's so important to know where your food is coming from. So I trust them. And as the butcher, when the guests come across my counter and I get to talk to them every day, that's how they've learned to trust me too. Because
Ray, my mouth is watering. My mouth is watering so bad. I mean, where it's from is so important, and how it's trimmed and the flavor. I mean, you could marinate this if you wanted to. I would brine it a little bit if you wanted to. I mean, you're cutting it with a fork. You're cutting a pork ribeye steak with a fork.
Right through the center of the pork, right? I didn't cut that. I just went right through the center, and look at that. Look at how beautiful. Right with a fork, I went right through the center of that. But Mary, I showed you it as a steak. Let me show you what I love about this. And this is when my guests come in the butcher shop and they say, Ray, what's for dinner? I say, well, if you grab our pork ribeyes, here's what's for dinner. Let's start with our steak, but let's go to our kebab. How about if you cut these into nice little cubes and you make an incredible kebab like this? Remember, everyone is going to be so incredibly tender that it works very, very well. Maybe you just want to do a pork chop, right? Maybe you're just used to doing a breaded pork chop. You want to put it in that bag and shake it and then throw it in that oven and bake it. You can do that. But what I will tell you is you've never tasted a pork chop like this in your life. You're going to be able to cut right through the center with a fork. But one of my favorites, besides our barbecue, look at our barbecue over here, Mary.
I got to see this. I'm so into this idea.
It is caramelizing, and I will tell you that in a matter of minutes, we're going to taste this. And it gets no easier than that. But here's my other favorite. Look at our fajita. Right? When can you take just some thin slices, and you can be the butcher at home, because remember, this is boneless. It does not have any fat on it. Just take that, mix it in with your peppers and your onions. You've got something you're feeding your family, and it's 6 ounces. It's really a lot of steak. It's a lot, and I call it a steak because that's what it is. One of my favorites, Mary, and you know it, it's when I can take this and pound it out. So because it is so soft, here's what I did. I took one of our pork chops, or our pork steaks, and I made a schnitzel out of it. Look at how simple this is. Now, this is one.
Jawohl.
Look at the size of this, right? Look at the size of that. And then, of course, I'm always going to take my country gravy. I've got it. That just works with this, and it just goes right on top. And I will tell you that this is big enough for two in many cases because it's really, really big. And it's not going to shrink because there's no fat with that. It's just a wonderful product. And of course, I'm going to put that right on top of my noodles, Mary, and I'm ready to go. And you know, I'm a butcher, I'm not a chef. This makes me look really good. That's how easy it is.
Listen, it looks so good. I was just mimicking a single tear rolling down my cheek because I'm not in that. Listen, I am fed. Let's not get it twisted. But I look at that and I think, okay, the schnitzel, I'm right back to being a little kid, like the little gherkin salat on the side, maybe a little kartoffelpuffe, little potato dish.
Good.
Little salad. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And you know what? That's my childhood. What about yours? I mean, the pork that I grew up with, my mother is an amazing cook, but sometimes when you go to a restaurant, it's overcooked, it's cardboard, it's just not done right. This, you can't mess it up. It's so good, it's so flavorful, it's so tender. I have tried these in years past. I love them and sold out since their last airing in February. Here we are, they're back in stock and you're getting 20 of them. Look at what's happening in the pan. Oh my gosh.
And it's easy, right? Just slice it into strips like I did. I cut it into 4 or 5 strips. And let me I'm going to put one up on the board here so I can show you just how simple and elegant and easy, but incredibly delicious. So I put it on here. I want you to look when I cut into the center of this. First of all, I was able to go right through it with my fork.
Wow.
And every bite is absolutely perfect boneless barbecue rib from our prime pork ribeye steak. That will be incredibly delicious. Look, right through it, Mare, with a fork.
And you
That's
made
pretty
4
incredible
to 5 boneless ribs out of just one ribeye steak.
And in literally 5 minutes, right? So if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's that
Aren't
easy.
you sweet? Oh, that's nice. Isn't that lovely? I mean, America's Hometown Butcher saying you could do it too. I mean, that's confidence building for me. You know what, too? I love the fact that they're $4.99 per ribeye steak. I love a deal. I run right to the back of the store and point to the clearance rack, and I'm like, hey, the good deals are right back here. I tell everybody. I love this job because I get to tell everybody about all the great deals here at the Q. These, you're getting 20 of the premium 6-ounce size pork ribeye steaks for $4.99 a piece. I'm telling you right now, Dave got to try these. I got to try these. Everybody that presents food here at QVC got to try these years ago, and we all fell in love. The quality, the tenderness, the flavorful, the versatile, it's all there. And they all come to you individually wrapped. But this price and the easy pay is gone on Monday. More than 700 have been ordered in the Kitchen with Mary today. And Ray, I love that you're holding what it looks like when we get it home because they're individually packaged. I have them tucked everywhere in the freezer.
And you have to because they're individually packaged, Mary, they're going to hold up for 12 months. But you've got 20 of them here. I mean, this is a lot of pork steaks. So thinking about what we can do, I can just do a pork steak because I love a steak on a grill. But if it's in the summertime and I want to go out on the grill, you know, I'm going to do some of my pork ribs, my pork boneless ribs, or maybe I'm going to flatten it out and I'm going to do a cutlet. In fact, I did a parm for you, so let me show you the chicken parm. Sorry, the pork parm. It's that simple, right? So yeah, so all I did was took one of my pork cutlets that I've got here that I've already had cooked and I've already
brace yourself, Kyle. Brace yourself.
It is as simple as that. And then, of course, I've just taken it and I've put it inside of my casserole dish with some of my tomato sauce, or gravy as we call it in my house, a little bit of mozzarella and Parmesan cheese on top. Now, this is one piece. And this is what I want to emphasize to you. These 6-ounce pieces are big pieces. But when you take it and you pound it and you put the parm on top and the cheese and the mozzarella, and you can go through it. Look at this. I'm going right through the center of this with a fork. This is what you really want to have for dinner. I mean, look at how beautiful that actually is. And this is used, so good. Right? So this is for one. So Mary, you may take this home. This may be you and your husband. Who knows?
That looks so good. I can't. You know, when I was a little kid and my mom said it was time to leave, I did something called stiff leg. Like I didn't bend my leg. She had to drag me out of places. I'm doing stiff leg right now because that is so good looking. Look at that pork.
And
That's
look at it
pork.
right through it, and that's pork. Look, and you know, anything you do with chicken or you do with veal, you can do with pork. But what I tell people is it'll be more tender than your veal, and it'll be more tasty than your chicken. It is absolutely incredible.